course.
Indeed, but how successful will Labour be in transforming itself into the party of economic credibility? Well, Andy Mayer, Chief Operating Officer at the Institute for Economic Affairs and Free Market Economic Think Tank, joins us now. Thank you so much for joining us on the programme. I mean, what do you make of the fact that the Labour Party are trying to reposition themselves as the economic stronghold of the parties today?
Well, Labour are in the lovely position of being able to not change very much and simply say, we're not this lot. We're not the current government. You can trust us with the economic levers in our hands. And they've actually come up with a programme which is almost identical to not so much some of the new stuff that the Conservatives are bringing in, but what the last Conservative administration tried on. So we're looking at things like central planning of the economy through industrial policy, which is something that the coalition, Boris Johnson and Theresa May, all tried in various forms and has led to the disastrous mess we currently have in our energy system. Labour are going to double down on that. And to be very clear, what they're talking about is Ed Miliband will decide what sort of batteries, hydrogen and other technologies will deliver the energy of the future. And it is for the British people to decide whether they trust him to do that more than markets and people making investment decisions themselves.
When you said disastrous mess we've got into, for a second I did think you were talking about what's happening with the markets at the moment. You were talking about energy there. But some people would say, look at this mess that Kwasi Kwarteng and Liz Truss have got us into. We have the pound plummeting to record new lows. The sorts of policies that Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng announced on Friday, those are policies your organisation have welcomed, have called for. Am I wrong there?
Hang on, what do we think the markets are actually reacting to? Because the bulk of the package isn't the tiny tax cuts that have got the headlines. The 45p rate, for example, is about 1.4 billion of borrowing every year. The energy price guarantee, which we attacked as middle-class welfare on steroids, is 100 to 200 billion pounds in the course of a year.
Well, is it not partly unfunded, tax cuts? They want to increase borrowing and also cut taxes without cutting spending.
Well, on that, the IEA would agree with you.
Yeah.
So we are in favour of lower taxes and a smaller state, but also sound money, crucially.
Well, are you admitting that this isn't a sound and well-funded
I'm admitting it's not my personal plan.
Okay.
And the IEA doesn't take a corporate view on these things. We have a range of voices. Some are more keen on the idea that's being put forward, which is actually conventional left-wing modern monetary theory, which is the idea that the government can borrow money forever and then the growth will take care of the rest so long as that money is borrowed for investment. And that seems to be the core of what Kwasi Kwarteng is doing, at the same time as doing the things that we would approve of, which are supply-side reform, which gets the government out of the way of stopping new investment. Now, the 45p tax rate is an interesting policy and it's got a heck of a lot of headlines and it seems to be politically ill-judged at the current time.
Yeah.
But in economic terms,
it doesn't bring in much money. Yes, I mean, 2 billion or something. But at the end of the day, the symbolic point for a lot of people is important. At a time when there is a cost of living crisis, it doesn't look great for most ordinary people to see that the top individuals, most wealthiest individuals, are getting more money in their pockets.
Yeah, and I think what the Chancellor was thinking there is he'd get his unpopular policies out of the way first, but he's not at the start of a 5-year term. He's facing an election in 2 years, come what may. And it'll be interesting to see whether this is the policy he's remembered for or whether the things that are coming down the line, for example, raising allowances is possible, cutting other taxes, are the things that will then make people decide that they are better off when it comes to 2024.
Do you think there's a chance, actually, that people will look at their pay packets and look at their energy bills in a couple of months' time and say, look, I'm not paying as much as I was expecting to pay because the government have introduced this cap. I have a bit more money in my pocket, which is nice, and just say, you know what, I'll take it?
Well, that, in theory, would be great, but what we know is that energy bills are going up. They may not be going up as much as they would be if the market was allowed to let a rip on them, but where they will be is more than they were before. At the same time, interest rates will rise, so those paying mortgages and coming to the end of their deals or on variable rates will be paying more as well. So you can't buck the cost of living crisis. We're all in this mess because global energy prices are going up, and this is affecting absolutely everything. And the government's tried to suppress some of that, but no government anywhere can suppress all of it.